Hey guys, how are you? Glad you're here today. This is Stan Malden. I'm one of Tim's guys here at Do Deals, and we're going to talk a lot today about some owner financing. And this is going to be the greatest, most dynamic class you guys are going to have since the history of the free world. Okay, well, it's going to be a good time either way. So let's get started on this. What we talked about last week is we basically took requests on what you wanted to talk about this week at the end of last week's session. So we'll do that again this week. So you guys be thinking about what some questions you want to have that we can talk about in depth next week, okay? But this week we had some people that wanted to talk about owner financing, and that's what we're going to do, okay? So let's get on with the owner financing part of this. So, you know, in our group and basically everybody, there's 3 or 4 different types of deals. So just as you're looking for deals, the deals that don't have any equity or very little equity, those turn into owner finance deals. The houses that have some equity, and we define that in our group as 60% of value, and you know, it could be 70%, could be 68, you know, who knows, but right around 60% of value, those are wholesale deals. So the houses that are working really well for us as wholesale deals are houses that need repairs. We did a firehouse today. We got a contract on a house that had burned, and so that would be a wholesale deal. Any kind of problem houses that's got tax liens, judgments against them, title problems, any kind of those things, those turn into wholesale deals. Vacant houses are good wholesale deals. And then cheap houses, especially the ones that are free and clear, those also turn into wholesale deals, okay? And then as you're talking to people, if there's sellers behind or about to be behind, you guys know it's a short sale, and then we wholesale that to someone else. And then, of course, you guys know that an REO is also a wholesale deal, so we would buy that from the bank and wholesale it. But right now, what we're going to talk about today is the first one of these, which is owner finance. And, you know, oh my gosh, this is a perfect storm right now. Hey, Gershom, do you know these two guys?
Yeah,
Okay, who's
George Clooney and
the guy on the right? What's that guy's name?
George Clooney.
Yeah, George Clooney. Who's this guy? Who's that guy on the left?
I think it's Mark Wahlberg. This is from the Perfect Storm movie, right?
It is from the Perfect Storm movie, and thank you for knowing all that. Did you and I talk earlier? You did good.
No.
We have a perfect storm here, and the perfect storm would be the economy and the way that the things are going right now in our country. It's really difficult to get a loan, and because of the economy and the way things are going in our country, it's difficult to sell a house. So this is a perfect storm for owner financing, okay? And you should be looking for buyers that look like these two men. If you're out calling people, that's what you want to see in your head, is these perfect storm guys. So here's what happens. The sellers that are in the house now, they bought these houses at the top of the market. They don't have very much equity now. Prices are down a little bit. The buyers have got a little nick in their credit. The buyers don't have 20% to put down, and they've got some pretty tight credit requirements. So when you put all that together, the sellers are having a tough time and the buyers are having a tough time. And if you're doing regular, traditional real estate, where you're trying just to sell a house like an agent's trying to sell a house, this is a pretty lean time for you. So what you're going to do then is you're going to do some owner financing. So let's just talk about what is some owner financing. This is where the owner carries some of the note or all of the note. Okay, now why in the world would somebody want to do that? Well, first off, you get your price on the house. So we can sell houses now, and we can sell them for cash or get a loan from some people to get a loan, but they're heavily discounted. So if I don't have much equity and I can't discount my house, then I've got to get my price for it. So we want people to get their price. So that turns out good, and they can sell your house a little more quickly. Sometimes you can make some money every month and do some cash flow, and sometimes when you cash out the balloon payment, you can make a little more money at the end of the deal because you've already paid on the note quite a bit, and you're not paying off interest as much as you're paying off principal. So it ends up you make a little more money on them some way, okay? And those turn out to be really, really, really good. Let me correct this. There we go. Okay, so that's really a good thing for the seller. And why is it good for the buyer? They get to move now. I had a lady that called me maybe 5 minutes ago. Karen called me looking for a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house, 1,500 square feet, $800 to $1,000 a month. She's got 5,000 to put down, and she's looking in the Katy and Southwest Houston area. That's where we have a lot of houses. So they're easy for us to do, and these people. And I said, when do you want to move? She says, as quick as I can. So she wants to move now, and she doesn't have to qualify, or very little qualifying. Most of our sellers have had their houses on the market with a realtor for 6 or 8 months and have not sold it, so they really want to move right now. Okay? And then there's less money down, and they can do some credit repair as they're doing the house, and they have less closing costs. So it's really good for the buyer, and it's really good for the seller. And so now the perfect storm turns into like perfect heaven or something. Okay, so that's what makes them so good. Hey, Gershom, would you do me a big favor?
Sure.
Send Fiona the link to the meeting tonight. Okay.
Okay.
Thanks.
Yeah, I think Amy sent it already.
Perfect. Great. Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
All right. So let's think about what is really an owner finance. So owner finance. And Julio, I see you're on the line, so man, I stole all your stuff that you sent me this week, okay? And I'm going to give you proper credit, and you're not going to talk here in a little while. But you know, as I'm doing my hand like in a clock motion, all the way at number 1 would be rent, you know, and then number 2 would be lease options, subject tos, contract for deed, land contracts, a wraparound mortgage. Those are all types of owner financing. Or I just own the house free and clear, and I tote the note. You know, I'm the guy that's going to make sure that everybody gets in the house and those kind of things. So there's a lot of that goes on. Okay? So what's the good and the bad and the ugly with the owner finance? See, I put these little pictures in there, Gershom, so because people get to their other screen, I can see them, and now I want them to be on my screen. So I'm going to have movies in there next week. Okay, so in Texas, we're doing a lot of wraparounds. We were doing some lease options, and they're a little bit cumbersome in Texas, so we still do them every once in a while, but for the most part, we're doing wraparounds. And I'll tell you what a wraparound is. Basically, the seller has an existing mortgage, and we will then get the title company attorney to draw up new paperwork and create another mortgage that will wrap around, hence the name wraparound, that existing mortgage, okay? Now, there's some issues with that. Issue number 1 is the due on sale clause. And as we've talked about before, with the economy the way it is, and if you have a performing loan, the due on sale clause is pretty much non-existent. I just don't know too many lenders that want the house back just to get the house back. Okay, so beyond that, all we're doing is creating another mortgage and protecting the seller's interest in his house. All right. Let me go backwards, and I'll just talk through all of these. Okay. Everybody understands rent, what rent is. Everybody understands what lease is. A lease option would be that I'm going to lease the house for a period of time, a year, 2 years, 36 months, whatever that period of time is, and then I have the option to buy it. Now, the good news about the lease option is you're basically getting into the house for less money, okay? And then you have the option, if you don't like the house, you can pull out and not buy it after a period of time, okay? And those in Texas are not considered to be really the cool things to do right now. I'm trying really hard not to say the word illegal, because they're not illegal, but they are prone to have some problems, and when you have problems, then that takes you into the world of litigation. So we don't want to be prone to anything, you know, because the attorney word pops its ugly head up, and we don't want to be a part of that. But so you understand kind of what a lease option would be. I would lease the house for, let's say, for a year, and then at the end of that year, I would have the option to buy. Okay, and we would determine that price before you got to the end of that year's time. So we'd do all this at one time. And in Texas, we were doing them as lease, and then we were doing them as a delayed closing, so that you would basically lease it for a year, and we've already determined that you're going to buy it for a certain amount and a certain amount down and all that kind of stuff at the end of that year. So a lease option or a lease delayed closing, basically the same thing. Okay, a subject to deal, you guys know these. Those are ones where you basically come in and take over somebody's mortgage. So we would do a house subject to your existing loan. Okay, subject to, and you see the colon there, your existing loan. So we do quite a few of those in Houston, and we do them with the people that are in the foreclosure. So I get the foreclosure list every month, and let's say that there's, well, last month there were right at 4,000 people that have been posted for foreclosure. And so I would run a search then and have people that have equity over 50,000. Then I would go out and have somebody knock on their door. Back in the day, I knocked on their door and would basically then say, I'd like to take over your payments. And what I would then do is pay them a certain amount of money to move out of the house, and that's a negotiable thing. And I think I've told you guys this before. I've had people that I would give them moving vans, or pay truck payments, pay off Visa cards, whatever you have to do to get in the house. If it's got $50,000 worth of equity and they're behind by about $10,000, let's say, you get them caught up. So now they're caught up, and then you pay them to move on. So you basically got about $50,000 worth of equity for about $12,000 to $15,000. Okay, so you have to have that available cash to make that happen. And then what I would do with those was just wholesale them real quick, okay, and make 30 or 40 grand on them. That's what I was doing with them. Some people like to hold them, and I'm just not a big rental fan because the toilets stop up and people kick holes in the walls and they don't mow the grass and all that kind of stuff, and I usually have to go deal with that. So that's what a subject to deal is, okay? That's basically we're using their financing for us to get a house, okay? A contract for deed is very much like a car deal, and land contracts the same way. They're very much similar to each other. So if I've got a '07 GMC that's financed for 4 years or so, after the end of 4 years, when I finish paying off my car, they will then ship the title to me, then I will own that car. Contract for deed is the same thing, and these are illegal in some states. Texas is one of them. Basically, what you would do would be pay on the house for 30 years or 20 years or whatever the time frame you decided, and then after you've paid on it for that long, once you made that 360th payment, then you would own the house. Now, what happened in Texas, the good and the bad and the ugly of those, is that people were paying on their house for 20 years, and then they would get 1 month behind, and boy, those guys would foreclose on them pretty quick. So they won't let us do those in Texas anymore. Land contracts, same thing. They don't let us do those as well in Texas. They do in some states, but not Texas. Okay, and then owner free and clear, you know what that is, and we can do any kind of creative financing that you want to, and that makes that work. Okay, so if you have a question about any of those, just go ahead and type it in, and we'll come back to it. All right. So anyhow, in Texas, we're doing wraparound mortgages, and basically you're selling the house, not renting the house, and that is a huge thing, because I know that when I rent a car, I don't treat it badly, but I don't treat it as well as I treat my own car. So if you're renting a house, they tend to, they being the renters, tend to think of it as a rental. And when you're doing a wraparound, they own that house, okay? You get to have a little cash flow, every month. I've got 2 or 3 of these wraps, and on one house I make $500 a month on the cash flow. Okay, so I got the house really cheap, did the rehab on it, and it's a short sale. I did the short sale, then did the rehab on it, and then it just happened to be around the time when things started to fall apart last year. So we went ahead and did a wraparound mortgage on it, and we're making about $500 a month on it. Okay, and in Texas, we're a 21-day foreclosure state, and it takes 90 days to kick people out for renting. It takes 21 days to foreclose here. Now, in some other states, we've got a student that lives in Minnesota, and I think she was saying that the foreclosure rate would be like 6 months to get somebody out on foreclosure. And so then wraparound would not be a good tool for you to use in that kind of state. You would then do a lease option. That would be a better tool for you to use than the wraparound, okay? The good news about any of these owner financing deals is that the seller can sell it now. They usually get their price or pretty close to it, and they usually come out pretty well after the balloon payment. So we're doing wraps. We closed one last week that had a 6-year balloon on it. We wrote one on Friday that had a 3-year balloon on it. So a balloon payment would be, they're going to pay on it. And I'll show you the paperwork on this house so you guys can see the numbers. But they're going to pay on it for 3 years, and after the end of 3 years, they have to refinance it and basically pay off the remaining balance. And they would do that by refinancing, okay? Now, the good news about that is the seller on this house bought the house in the mid-90s. So he's paid on it for 10 years, and he's paying more in principal and interest every month than he is in interest, okay? Now, the buyer is paying a lot of interest right now, and he's paying that to the seller. So he's making $150, $180 a month on it. But at the end of the balloon, even though that they're even, he owes 95 now. We sold it for about 95, and he will make 3,000 or 4,000 on it because he's paid off more of the principal. You guys understand kind of how I came to that? Again, if you have a question, just raise your hand and we'll come back to that. So anyhow, that's the good news about them. The bad news is really not a whole lot of bad news. What happens if they don't make their payments? We just foreclose on them. Okay, if you're doing a lease option and they're not making their payments, you just evict them. Okay, what happens if they don't qualify for a new loan in 3 years? Then you can either renegotiate your lease option or your wraparound, which I would do, or you just foreclose on it, kick them out, and get somebody else. But if you've got a good tenant in there, and these are tenant buyers, if you've got a good tenant in there, I'd go ahead and just renegotiate that and then just keep him in there for a while. Okay, so that's kind of the bad, and I'm sure we can think of some more bads. We've had some people say, what would happen if the economy doesn't get better in 3 years and they're not loaning money? You know, I mean, and all I can say to that is, gee, I never thought we'd be owning GM and in Afghanistan and all this other stuff we're doing right now either. So for me to kind of predict the future is kind of tough. So, you know, we just ask people just to think about what's good for them and good for their pocketbook, and they usually try to do some of these wraparound mortgages or lease purchase kind of things. Turns out pretty good. So the next question is, and gee, where do I find these lease purchase things? Well, you just look under the rocks, man. They're everywhere. So, I mean, they're everywhere. So let's just think about it. Go to Do Deals. Okay, and write these down because these are really great places. Do Deals, myhousedeals.com is another good place. We get some leads from wehavehomeleads.com. We get leads from the Green Sheet, that's like the penny saver, forsalebyowner.com, carrythenote.com, section8.com. We do bandit signs, realtors, churches, neighbors, friends, a lot of referral business in our group. So, I mean, they're everywhere. They're just everywhere. Okay? Let's see what kind of question we've got here going on. RC, I'm going to come back to you, okay? Because I don't understand some of your abbreviations. But let me just do it now. Let's see. So the point of that is these are everywhere, especially with the foreclosure rate the way it is, okay? Hey, RC, how are you? RC, can you talk to me? RC. Okay, we'll come back. All right, so basically they're everywhere, all right? And that's what makes them really neat. We were talking last night on our team meeting with the apprentice group with those students. And let's see, last week we closed a house, owner finance, on Friday in Houston. We did 3 contracts in Houston on Friday. The people in Dallas did a contract over the weekend, and Fiona closed a house last weekend. So we did 7 houses last week, and Fiona's got a wholesale deal she's going to tell you about here in just a few minutes. And the people in Dallas did a wholesale deal, and then we did 4 owner financing deals. So that's the kind of diversity that you want to have. You know, not everything we do is owner finance, and not everything we do is wholesale. You know, it's just whatever comes along, we throw our net out there, and whatever we pull in, and we take it and we run with it. Okay, I mean, we're not the big short sale gurus or REO gurus. We just like making money. That's what I like. And Fiona's going to tell you all about it. Only she's going to do it not in a West Texas accent. So let's talk about. I'll tell you what, Fiona. Let's go there, and then we're going to talk about how to find your sweet spot. And I'll leave this little kitten on there for you guys. All right, Fiona, where are you? because I know you're about to bust loose. You're ready to talk, aren't you? Hey, Fiona, what you doing? Fiona? Gershom, is that me or Fiona?
I think that's Fiona, Stan.
Because there's a lot of times, you know, when I'm talking to my wife and she does the same thing, I'm thinking it must be me. Okay, I'm going to mute Fiona. Maybe she'll figure it out. Let's go to Julio, because Julio, you there?
Yes, I am.
Hey, man, how are you?
Oh, fine.
I want to really thank you for sending me your mind map this week. It was really a great inspiration. And I was going to show everybody, but I clicked the off button, and then the next thing you know, I had to be on here. So I appreciate you doing that.
You're welcome, son.
So Julio has this idea for you guys, and tell me if I'm just incorrect here, okay? Okay, don't tell me I'm incorrect. Just correct me. But the idea of why don't we, and we did this the other day in Houston when we had the apprentice meetings. Like, what do you guys want to learn? And then we just listed all their questions. You know, what do you have questions about? And then we just listed them and went through all of them. You know, well, we're going to start running this group a little bit more like that. So that's kind of what you were thinking during the week, right?
Okay.
Is that a yes?
Yes.
Very good. So during the week, now you were trying to find a realtor, and you were talking about your sweet spot and all that stuff, right?
That's right.
So tell me how that turned out.
Well, right now I talked to 3 realtors right now, but it seems to be only one a little more doable to work with me because she knows a little more computer skills, and the other one's not. And supposed to more make a follow-up. She liked the idea about the owner financing because she have no clue how to do that. She's bilingual, and she told me that there is a lot of Hispanic community that they would like to do, and because they don't speak English. So I said, oh, good for me. So I said, well, they would like to do that. So I asked her to start getting some potential buyers, and then I'm gonna give you instruction how to qualify. I don't know yet. In the meantime, maybe she can ask directly or indirectly how much a down payment they could put for this transaction, especially for the wraparound.
Right. You know, there's a couple of really good things in that. Now let's think about you live where?
Oh, I'm in Toronto, Canada.
Okay, you're in Toronto, Canada, and you're going to be investing in where?
Dallas right now.
Dallas, Texas. All right.
Yes.
So Dallas, Houston, basically all of Texas, all of the southwest part of the country has a really huge Hispanic population.
That's right.
Okay. Now, Tim and I were talking the other day, and Tim says, "Who's buying our houses?" I think I told you guys this last week. It's a middle-aged 30s, mid-30s to middle 40s Hispanic family of 2 adults and 2 to 3 kids, and they're really worried about schools. Okay, so they're people that are trying to do a lot of great things for their family. Now, if you've got a realtor that is bilingual, you are way ahead of the game.
Well, good for me.
Yeah, great. That's great for you. And then now think about who's going to be buying your houses.
Hispanic people.
It's mostly Hispanic people. You're way ahead of the game. And I've got a Skype. If you guys can see my screen, my little Skype button's lit up, and we're doing a short sale with a couple in San Antonio, and they neither one of them speak English. So now we're having to translate. You know, I've got a girl in Dallas that speaks Spanish, and it's working out just fine. But see, you're just way ahead of the game.
You can call me anytime.
Okay. Well, see now I know. Now I know. So there's a couple of great, just little gems for everybody here. Number one, you're in Toronto and you're working in Dallas. Okay. So once you get your mind wrapped around that, it's not real hard, is it?
That's right.
Okay. Number two is you're going after specific population or specific people. You're not just throwing out, marketing or advertising just for fun. Now you can target that and bring your people into you, your buyers into you. So now let's try to find how you were talking about your sweet spot. You and I were talking about it some this week.
Okay. Well, what I did during this last 7 days, I put run some ads like Craigslist in order to get my team members and working. And right now, I'm trying to just send emails to landlord buyers. They are gonna start marketing for potential tenant buyers, creating my database of tenant buyers, and then as soon as I understand or make an agreement with the realtor, we're gonna start looking for qualify this tenant buyer. This is one of my questions. Let's say any of the students, the coaching student, apprentice students, they have 2 or 3 potential tenant buyers. I am the investor, so my role is trying to get some motivated sellers. But in order to, if I get in contact with a tenant buyer, how or who should qualify for the tenant buyer, who run the credit score, who run all this stuff to qualify the tenant buyer.
Okay, here's what we do. The procedure would be, and let's just kind of go from the beginning. Let's say that you have a house in Dallas,
Okay.
and that I have a buyer for you.
Okay.
All right. So what I would do is I would call you and ask you if it's okay to show it, and then you would figure out a way for me to get the key. I mean, that's always an issue with us, is getting the key and getting in. And a lot of these guys don't like putting them on lock boxes for some reason. That's just the way it is. So we have to deal with whatever key issues we have going on. I've got another one of these webinars. It's called Watch Your Hands, all the moving parts that are in this, you know. And there's a lot of moving little pieces in this, and then one of them is getting into the house to show it. So let's say for fun now, I've got a buyer who likes it. They're going to fill out an application, and our group charges them a $97 non-refundable application fee.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we chose $97 as opposed to $100. You know, and we just pulled a number out of our hat. We will do a credit report and a background check. It costs between $50 and $75. And so the next question usually is, are you telling me then you make money on the credit report? And the answer is yes, we make a profit on the credit report.
Well, that's good.
And that's like, well, somebody had to drive out there and use their gasoline and their time and their tires and their oil and all that stuff, all that wear and tear on your car. And I've got to pay the electric bill somehow, so $25 is not too much, I don't think, to handle all the paperwork that's involved with this. So, yes, we do make $27, or right at $27. Okay? The next thing is then I would send that to you, and you would look at them and go, oh, okay, they've got a job. Let's say that the house is $1,000 a month, and they're making $3,000, $3,500 a month, whatever their number is. They've been on the job for X amount of years, and you feel pretty comfortable about them getting in the house. We know that they're going to have a little issue with their credit. We know that already, okay? And we'd prefer not to sell the house to somebody just out of prison. Okay? And when we did that the other day, we did a credit report and a background check, and the guy had just gotten out of prison for kidnapping his kids. And so it's like, I think we better wait on this one. All right? And that was the question was what would we do if it were our house? Because we wanted to get paid, but, you know, I didn't want to get paid so badly I'd put a felon out there on top of it. Anyhow, you're going to look at the guy's credit and go, okay, the guy's got a nick in his credit. We know that already, but he's got a really good job. You would take that to the seller and basically tell him what we have, and then he would say yes or no. Okay? More often than not, they say yes, because they can't sell their house right now. And then from that, we'd go ahead and write a contract, and I'll show you in just a little while how to do that. Okay?
Okay. Just another question probably for everybody. When we talk to the more motivated sellers, I was reading some articles about wraparound. Do we have to get these houses under, they have to be assumable mortgage, like a FHA or VA, or not?
No. They've got to be, and I can show you this. I've got it on my computer. I'll show you the cover your tail clause. It was not going to be part of this tonight, but I can certainly pull it up for you. Our mortgage company is in Fort Worth, Dallas area, and that's an Amanda that I sent to you the other day at Lawyer's Title.
Yeah, that's
and
right.
they've got their documents that are basically their disclosure documents saying that there is an outstanding mortgage on it, an existing mortgage, and there is a due on sale clause. And basically, the title company is is telling you this, and you do it at your own risk and your own peril. Okay? So
I see.
these are not assumable loans. You know, back in the 80s, there used to be assumable loans. I had one of those once. I did that on one of our very first houses. We were broke as kids. Gosh, we were in our 20s, but we assumed somebody's VA loan back in the early 80s. That's how we got into our first house. But those are not around too much anymore. There are some out there, but most of them have been paid for 15 or 20 years. It's going to take, $100,000 to get into that loan. So most people don't have that kind of cash.
Okay.
Okay. Now the reason we're not doing lease options here in Texas is, for the most part, the Attorney General does not look favorably on lease options in the state of Texas. And
Okay.
so that's the reason I would not recommend you doing those right now. We do them every once in a while, but it depends on your risk tolerance with that. I would not do. We were starting to do a lot of them, like 1 or 2 a week, and I don't know that I'd do 50 to 100 of those things a year. So it's a way safer deal to do these wraparounds.
What time?
Okay.
Okay.
Great. Any more questions?
Oh, yes. This kind of credit repair is the same like the mortgage company. They can do that.
Say it again, please.
Means, let's say we have to work with a credit repair company. So it can be done for the mortgage company or a special special company.
Well, we have a credit repair guy here.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
Most of the credit repair that they're going to do is try to get some mistakes off of their account and then kind of just monitor them and make sure they're paying their bills. Most people have got credit issues just because they don't pay their bills.
I see.
So most credit issues are not because my identity was stolen. There's a lot of that, but most of the people you're going to be dealing with are going to be like the lady we sold a house to, and I'll show you this contract. She and her husband just got married, and she had like 12 credit cards, and she maxed them all out in college. And so she's got a credit problem now. And so the best thing that she can do is, number one, chop them up, and she needs to keep 1 or 2 of them going, because that's what keeps your credit score up. Is you have to have credit to get your credit score up. But you want to pay on something every month. And so that's, if you can pay off the minimum and just keep them rolling every month, that makes your credit score go up.
Okay.
Okay. But most of them that are really not good credit in the 400s and so, we get them at credit repair to try to get whatever little issues they have, get those off, and then they have to be absolutely diligent about changing their habits and pay their bills on time.
Okay.
Okay. Now, what happens if they don't pay their bills on time and they don't qualify for the loan? Now what happens?
Well, I think according to what you said, the seller can foreclose.
Right? The seller either forecloses or renegotiates.
Okay, that's right.
And Julio, I've got 2 or 3 of these, and I get 10,000 down from our guys. And these are fairly big houses, so they're giving me 10,000 down. I hope they never make a payment. So, man, if they don't make one payment, I foreclose, take their 10,000, go to the next one.
Stan, just a question. Let's say for any other people who want to do wraparounds any estate, for example, my situation. So means I have to get somebody else like in place, like they're gonna do this kind of run this document for me, or just over the phone?
You're talking about who will do the documents for you?
Yes.
Yeah, we do it at the title company. They just create them for us.
So for me, for anybody, it's only trying to get a seller, put it under the contract or the flex option, and then as soon as you get a tenant buyer, you qualify the tenant buyer, and then you get in contact with the title company, and they gonna help you for the proceed of this transaction. Is that right?
Absolutely.
Okay, that's fine.
Can't mess them up.
Okay.
And if you do mess them up, the title company will fix it.
Okay, great.
I hope.
Yeah.
And if you're doing lease options, those are a little different. What we did is we went on Do Deals, and we downloaded a lease, and then we went to the Texas Real Estate Commission site and downloaded a contract.
Mm-hmm.
So we just had a lease, and then there's an option paragraph. In the contract, it's paragraph 23. We just completed paragraph 23 in the state contract.
Okay.
Okay, so those are easy to do, and those are kitchen table closes.
Yeah.
Now, we're talking about the basic baseline level of getting into this. I mean, there's a lot of ways. We talked about last week buying and selling these in trusts, and buying and selling these in DBAs. We talked about that last week in our group. But we're talking about entry level stuff tonight. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
So as you get better at it, you can buy and sell these in trusts. You can buy and sell DBAs. There's all kind of ways to do some things to get around the due on sale clause.
What does DBA stand for?
Doing business as, so like my little LLC. So
Okay.
it may be Stanley's LLC, and then I'm doing business as Big Daddy. Okay, since I've got a website called that. All right. So I would take that Big Daddy and just sell it to you as a doing business as, and Big Daddy owns that house. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So I'm just selling you the corporation part of that. So there's
I
a
see.
lot of ways to do these. I don't want to confuse you guys. This is the entry level way of doing this. Once you get into it, there's a lot of really creative ways to do these once you get into it. And we can do sandwich wrap. That's where there's a lot of equity in the house. And we just finished one of these. There's a lot of equity in the house. And if you want to stay involved in it and make that equity at the end, then you do a wrap. You would do a wrap with the owner, then the buyer would do a wrap with you. That's what Tim calls a sandwich wrap. So it's got two wraparound mortgages. See, there's a lot of ways once you get into it to make a lot of money on these. So I know that a lot of students are going, gee, I don't like making $4,000 and $5,000 and $6,000 on a deal. I want to make a lot on a deal.
Me
So
too.
we just finished one of those, you know, that with the sandwich wraps. It's going to take a while for it to close, but we made a little bit up front, and we'll make a lot when it's finished. Okay?
Okay.
So we'll talk about those as we get more advanced. All right? Let's
Yeah.
just get the entry level stuff. All right. Well,
Thank you.
thanks for the comments during the week. I really appreciate it, and I had a wonderful time talking to you during the week. It was cool, and we'll take your suggestion and ask before we leave what we want to do next week, and we'll talk about anything you guys want to talk about. Okay? Just to help it get better for you guys.
Thank you very
Okay.
much, Stan.
Thank you, Julio. It's terrific. Thanks, and email me anytime. All right?
Okay. Thank you.
All right.
You're
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
All right, we're going to go to RC because RC said his mic's working now, and then we're going to go to Fiona, and she's going to tell us about her deal. Hey, RC, how are you? Oh, okay. Let's see. As Ron's question is, Ron, I'm going to get you on here. We'll come back to RC. This is Ron Nixon. Hey, Ron, how are you? Ron. Okay, Ron's question is this: do you take them by the hand? Do you take the buyers by the hand and make sure they sign up with a credit repair company? And the question is yes. I'm assuming they'll have to pay for the credit repair service, but what role and how much do we do for them? There's some point where you take the people and you hook them up with the credit repair company, and then that's about as far as I go with them. You contact them every once in a while just to make sure everything's going okay and that everything's right on track. Every once in a while would be, 6 months or so. And just put that in your tickler system that you got to call these guys back, on a slow day or a rainy day or something. And just call them back, see how it's going, just to keep your name in front of them and remind them to keep making the payments. But the good part about that is they have friends who want to buy or sell houses. And as long as you kind of stay in front of them or send them a little note or something, you'll get a lot of referral business that way. But the bottom line is we take them to the credit repair company, we hook them up, and then after that point, it's their responsibility to make sure that their bills are put together. At some point, we've got to trust that they're adults and they're going to take care of their business. Okay. All right, Fiona. I'm sure hoping that your microphone's working because you're next, girl. Here it comes. Let's see if Fiona's ready. All right, Fiona, you there? Fiona. Okay, hey Gershom, can you see if you can find Fiona?
Sure.
I mean, don't
I'll
go to New Zealand and look for her. But
Okay, sure.
okay, thank you. Hey guys, this is the fun part that Julio and I were talking about this week. How do you find your sweet spot? What is the part of town where all this action is going? All right, and this is really advanced work, and most realtors don't understand this. And if you can find one that does, hallelujah, you're way ahead of the game. So we're really lucky here that Tim has access to MLS. His wife is a broker, and here's what we do. We look at the MLS. We're looking for cash buyers in the last 30 days. And then we've talked about this. Choose a zip, narrow it down to the neighborhood inside that zip, then find the houses inside that neighborhood. Okay? Now, these are the cash buyers that are in the neighborhood. Those are the people Tim calls, these investors are in heat. They want to buy another house so bad, and so you go out there, and how do you find their number? You can't look at the county records because it hasn't been recorded yet. The records haven't been updated, so how do you find them? Then you just go out to the neighborhood, and you then go to the neighborhood, and voila, you look there, and there it is. Their sign is in their front yard with their phone number for rent. So you go to the house to find the cash buyers, and then while you're in the neighborhood, you write down all the for sale by owners, for rent by owners, for lease by owners, and the vacant houses. And then you take the vacant houses and do skip trace on them and find those. There's a Zava search in there. There's all kind of phone numbers in Do Deals where you can find these people. If you're a little more advanced and you're doing some accurate skip tracing, that kind of thing, you can do that. And you can find those vacant people. But what we're doing right now that is working the very best for us is we're calling these for sale, for rent, and for lease by owner people. And all I did the other day is I went through the houses in Spring, Texas, that's where I live, and I just wrote down, it took me about 45 or 50 minutes, and I wrote down like 30 phone numbers. And then I basically put that on a Google document and let the students in the apprentice group have those, and we shared them, and they basically called those people and asked if they wanted to do owner financing. So if it's for sale by owner, and they're basically trying to get cash, we would then try to get them to do owner financing. If it's for rent or for lease, then we would say, listen, this is so much better because these people are buying your house. So what is the retail value of your house? Let's say it's a $100,000 house, and they're going to try to sell it for $88,000. It's like, why don't we then put your house at $95,000 to $100,000, and we'll sell it on an owner financing program. So you're making $100, $150 a month cash flow, plus when it closes in 24 to 36 months, you're going to make an extra $13,000 to $15,000. And those are easy to convert. I mean, when you start talking that kind of money to people, those are fairly easy to convert into owner financing deals, okay? So let me just show those to you. This is what I did a little while ago before we started. Let me go backwards. This is the Houston MLS. And I mean, I know what areas to look for just because we do these quite often. So basically, I'm looking for sold houses in these two zip codes. This is Spring and Katy, Texas. I'm looking for freestanding homes, not like manufactured homes or anything like that. And I'm not worried about any of the other criteria other than the sale date, okay? So I want houses from September the 1st, and I know it's not quite 30 days, a little over 30 days, until today. So I'll leave this blank on this side. So everybody see what I'm looking for? Sold houses in certain zip codes and within the last 35 or 38 days, okay? And this is what pops up. There are 57 of them. Now this is also a lot of knowledge here that you need to be thinking about. These are cash sales, and more often than not, these cash sales are going to be from REOs. So that this also tells me, if I'm looking for REOs, this tells me where the REOs are. Okay, this also tells me where the foreclosures are and where people are going to be in trouble in those subdivisions or those neighborhoods. And so then these are also where the short sales are going to be. So this tells me then where I should put my little sign out that says, you know, sell your house fast. And then my phone number I put on a telephone pole. That tells me where to put those signs in front of these neighborhoods because these are where people are in trouble. Now, beyond that, it also tells me some other things. Again, these are investors, and in the last 30-some-odd days, 57 have sold, and let's try to find the price break of $100,000. The most expensive one was $167,000, Okay, that was cash. But the price break at 100 is about right here, and I've got two left over. So what is this? 41 plus 2. So 43 out of the 57 were 100,000 or below, but basically below 100,000. That tells me then if I'm looking for REOs, then I should be looking in that $100,000 range, because if I don't, and I've got people that have a loan that are going to buy the house, I may have some seasoning issues. So you see, just out of this one little search, I've got a lot of cool things that I can do with this. But for the most part, let me just tell you how I did this looking for owner financing houses. I started looking for commonalities here. And I did it through 77373. Let me just tell you what these are. This Park Spring is a spring area. There's another Park Spring. There's a Postwood, which is right next door to Park Spring. There's a North Spring, which is right next door to Park Spring. And out of that, let's say out of the first few, most of those, let me go back, I'll run the search again. Most of those are pretty close to my house. Let's just do just the spring area, search there, and there's 19 of them. Now let's start to look for things that are common with these. Okay, there's a Postwood. Burnham Wood is next door. Postwood, Burnham Wood. There's Park Spring next door to both of these. They're all together. Park Spring only backwards. And Greengate Place is right next door. So these three areas are within, oh, I don't know, I mean, they're all stuck together within a mile of each other, okay? And so that includes all the houses within this half a mile or so. So out of the 19, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 of them are basically subdivisions that touch each other. Okay, that tells me where I should be putting my bandit signs to find people to call me that they want to sell their house. Okay, so now I know where that is, and I get a call or two a week off just those bandit signs. What we're doing now is we're doing some ads, pushing them to our apprentice group website, which is BigDaddyHouseDeals.com, and we're getting people looking to sell their houses one or so a day on those. So basically this tells me where to put my marketing, okay, where I'm going to spend my money. Secondly, that tells me if I go out to these subdivisions or these neighborhoods, and I will see a lot of houses for sale by owner, and because there's a lot of investors in these neighborhoods, I'm going to find a lot of rent and for lease by owners. Okay? And so that's what I did the other day. This is how I got to it. And I went out and did those, and out of those 30-some-odd houses I wrote down, we turned, well, one of them is a done deal. We wrote the contract first of the week, and we're going to close it next week. And then the other ones, we have 2 more that are flex options, okay? So if you could then do 3 or 4 deals in a day's time, that's pretty good. I think that's pretty good. So anyhow, that's how I got to them, and now I know kind of what the sweet spot is for my little area, okay? So that's how I got to them. Everybody understand that? Let me look at the questions and see how you guys have got on that. All right. Let me get me back together. There we go. Okay, RC is going, the reason I'm looking for cash buyers, we did this originally as an REO search. And this tells us the areas that we look for REOs, okay? So let me go back and show you this. So if I'm looking for an area, and I know this, to say I know this area really well, and I do, that these areas, Burnham Wood, I like this area a lot, because these houses are between $85,000 and $100,000 houses. Okay, but look at that. That one's an REO, and it's sold for $35,000. Days on the market, 0. That tells me that's a pocket listing. You guys know what a pocket listing is? That tells me that the real estate agent that listed the house knew an investor, and he got the first shot at that before anybody else did. And he got basically bought the house before it went on the market. Okay, so those are great deals. If I'm looking at a $100,000 house in Burnham Wood, and I'm buying it for $52,000 as an REO, I know that's a pretty good deal. So I can come in and look at this house, and go, okay, that's going to be a good deal because I know those houses are worth about $100,000. Same thing in Greengate Place. There's a couple there. Those houses are between 75 and 100. So as an REO, if I all of a sudden saw an REO that was listed for 55,000, I know that's going to be a pretty good deal. That's about half value. Okay, so that's how it started, was looking for REOs. Then it turned into something different, and we started thinking about it in a different way and going, wow, these people have been buying houses for cash. We were then looking for buyers for some REOs that we had. And then as we went out to the subdivisions, then we saw all these for sale signs and for rent signs, and then those turned into owner financing deals. Okay, so that's how that thing kind of morphed into some 2 or 3 other things. Okay, Paul wants to know if can you do this virtually, and absolutely you can do it virtually. You know, Julio's going to be in Toronto doing the exact same thing. He's got the exact same information, and then he'll have a bird dog or he'll have a realtor, somebody on the ground that will do this work for him, and he'll pay them something to do that. Okay. All right. What if we don't have access to MLS? Then, Robin, what I would suggest that you do is go ahead and get a realtor involved in what you're doing. I mean, you really need a realtor anyway on a lot of the deals that we're doing. And think of this: the reason when we've been working with realtors for, Gershom, I don't know. Do you recall when we started really heavy on those realtors? Do you remember?
No.
I mean, it's been
Not pretty
5 or 6 months ago. The feeling is that the people with money that could get a loan were usually a little more educated, and therefore they knew that the buyer's agent, the buyer's real estate agent, was working for the buyer for free. They knew as a seller I was paying them. So having said that, then we started working with realtors a lot more, especially on short sales, because we were trying to get the realtors to bring buyers to us. Now, since we've done that, then I mean, Tim's a genius. You know, his brain is always going, and his mind is always working on different ways to do this. Since we've done that, we now have some agents that work with us on owner financing deals that help us close those, and we had to write some criteria for that, and I did that, so that's all good. We work for realtors that bring us deals on REO, short sales, and owner financing. They bring us wholesale deals. So, you know, the realtors are kind of the very first line of defense. You know, when somebody says, I don't think I can make a payment, then the very next thing they do is they call a realtor because they know they have to list the house and sell it. And so we have realtors bringing a lot of those deals to us. And I was telling Tim, if you guys caught Corey's webinar last week, I did 38 short sales last month, and most of them were from realtors. Okay, and they're just looking to get their commission out of it. See, so that turns out really good. So you need to have a realtor, but once you have a realtor, then you have access to MLS, and they don't mind running all these reports for you. You know, it's pretty simple to do. And we've got a student that's in Salt Lake that's got, I think he works with 3 or 4 realtors. And the question was, Jacob, do they mind running reports? And the answer is no, they don't mind doing that at all. So that's the way to find those, is get your realtor to do that. And there's some other ways to get MLS access. Tim says, you know, you can pay the realtor's fee if they'll let you have access. Some will do that, some won't, you know, pay their yearly fee. But the easiest way is just to be friends with the realtor and work from there. For owner financing, let's see. For owner financing, what is the math based on the owner will be receiving? I'll go over the math part of this in just a while, okay? And we'll do that just at the very end, okay? How did I select these zip codes? You know what I did is basically we ran a spreadsheet. Oh, this was about 2.5, 3 months ago, and it was huge. I mean, we looked at the last 90 days or so of cash sales, and there were like 1,200 or 1,300 of them. And then we had one of our assistants put those in order on a spreadsheet. And so then we just ran down the spreadsheet and said, where are most of them located? And then we decided there are 2 zip codes. That's the Spring zip code and the Katy zip code. Okay, that's the reason we did that way. I was thinking for you, if you're working in Dallas, I ran a couple of those reports over the weekend, just because I was thinking about what you were doing and trying to look at some things in Denton County, which is just north of Dallas, and Tarrant County, which is the Fort Worth area, and trying to look at some smaller cities within that, some of the suburbs. So for you, Julio, I was looking at Carrollton and Mesquite and Garland are very good areas in Dallas, so write those down. Mesquite and Garland especially. So if you're doing Dallas area, Arlington, which is in the Mid-Cities area, that's where the new Cowboy Stadium is and where the Rangers play baseball. There's some areas there. And then you're looking in the also Mid-Cities, North Tarrant County area, that's North Fort Worth. That would be in Richland Hills, Hurst, Euless, E-U-L-E-S-S. Those are very, very good areas. Some areas in Louisville, that's Lewis and then Ville. That's some good areas in there as well. That's North Dallas, kind of an in between Denton, Dallas, and Tarrant counties. Okay, I'm from that area, so I know it pretty well. So those are the areas that kind of have some of these houses we're talking about. Houses that are about 20, 25 years old, maybe 15 years old, that are in the 60s to 100 range, maybe 120 range. Okay, where are they located in your area? So think about houses that are a little older, and then think about where those are located that are kind of like just regular, bread and butter, plain Jane houses. In California, a plain Jane house is like $500,000. Here, we can probably buy them for 20 or 30,000. Okay, so that's how I ended up with those zip codes. Okay. Okay. Where do you see on the MLS where it states that the house is purchased with cash? Let me go back, Ron, and I'll show that to you. This particular search is not just like a regular search. They ask you if you're going to do a custom search. So this is a custom search. See where I am, and I pulled down custom and went over to single family. And I have some that are saved. To be real honest about it, I have some that are saved and I know where they are, and I can just kind of change them from there. But you can see that I'm looking in my criteria. All I really want is sold and cash. The zip code I can deal with, but mostly sold and cash. And if this county name is I'm just looking for the Houston County. That's just Harris County. That's what Houston's in. Okay, so that's what you're looking for. And in this MLS, the San Antonio, Austin, and the Dallas-Fort Worth MLS, it's the same thing as that, okay? Let's see, Julio wants to know, how do you select zip codes because you know the subdivision, or what is your criteria for realtors? As Tim said, they pay 20 to 25% down payment to realtors. Okay, that's a lot of questions. Let's go back and we'll talk again about that, okay, Julio? Let me unmute you again. Still there? Did I get to your zip code answer?
Yes. I'm here.
Yeah. Did I get to your zip code answer?
Yes, I did. You did. Thanks.
Okay. I'll tell you what. And we can probably put this on the web page. Let me pull this down to my screen. Hang on. Let's see. Agents. And what we do is here's an agent's jobs. Let me just so you guys can see this. Can you see my screen? Can you see that? Yeah, you can see that, can't you? Yeah, so basically what we want them to do is we want them to talk to buyers and pre-screen them, show houses, do open houses, submit an application, that's my fax number, and write a contract and get closed. So if they want to make 15% of the profit as a negotiator would call these warm leads, we call them warm leads, and they make 25%. To do all of this stuff up here, they'd make 25%. Okay, see how that works?
Yeah.
And Gershom, I can give this to you. Maybe you can post this somewhere so everybody can get to it, so they can see that. For new agents, what we do is we give them 2 weeks to find a buyer, and then if they don't have a buyer, then we give it to somebody else, or more likely than not, we sell it. And then whichever agent brings the first buyer gets paid, okay? What we do is we do wraps in Texas, contract for deed, land contract. That's what our job is to get them the flex options, and then we market the property, and then we post them online with the agent's phone numbers. Okay, so see how that works?
In order to marketing the properties, we can use, okay, we can work with the realtors, or we have to do with the bird dogs?
Well, what we're doing is I wanted the realtors just to sell the houses.
Oh, I see.
Now, to say that I'm going to call one realtor that's really on fire and it's all going to work is probably not telling you the truth. We've gone through a lot of realtors to find one or two that we like. I mean, how do we say this real nicely? Most people are lazy. And so, you know, their goals and my goals are not the same. And my goal is to be closing a house every week. And then once we do that for a period of time, and we've been doing that for a while now, I want to start closing 2 and 3 and 4 and 5 houses a week. And so to do that, you've got to get up in the morning and bust your tail until you go to bed. And most people don't like doing that, you know. They'd rather watch Leave It to Beaver and the football game and all. So I don't care about all that stuff. It's all about making money for me right now. Okay? And so,
Okay,
that's,
so
that's what we're looking for. Yes, go ahead.
Yeah. So in that case, for people for realtors who might work in a more aggressive way in trying to market, we should provide some funds in order to put those signs in those houses?
Right. What we did is we provided the signs, we provided the lock boxes, we provided everything. All we did is Amy, who's my personal assistant, she would then do a lot of marketing with her team, and we put the agent's name on all that marketing. So we sent those buyers directly to that agent. Now that's good news and bad news. That's good news because I didn't have to deal with it. I got to do other things, and those went straight to the agent. That's bad news because I didn't know what the agent was doing. And so if you don't trust that agent quite yet, I wouldn't do it that way.
Okay.
Okay? But
Okay.
that tells you we paid them 25% of the profit. So let's say we made $5,000 on a house. I think that's like $1,250, $1,750. I don't know. Somebody get a calculator, figure that out. But then make somewhere between $1,200 and $1,500 a house to show the house. Now, if they didn't like that house, let's say for fun that Julio, you have a person, you're a realtor, and you've got a buyer, and you showed them my house, and they don't like my house. Well, you still have a buyer in your hand. You have a hot buyer in your hand. Okay, so that was one of the things that attracted a lot of realtors to what we were doing.
Okay. So what about if the realtor only find the buyer, and the other ones like do the open house? How could we share those kind of commission for the 25% for them?
Yeah, you got to be careful how you do these. So these are like bird dogs with us, and you know, we have quite a few bird dogs all over the country, and you got to be careful who you assign what to. So let's say for fun that you're working in Houston, and you've got a bird dog that put a sign out there. Well, you got to pay that guy to do that. So let's say you have another bird dog that takes pictures. Well, you got to pay that bird dog to do that. Then you've got a realtor that's going to have buyers. You got to pay that realtor. Then you've got another realtor that has open houses. You got to pay that realtor. So before you know it, you're going to pay them to buy that house. So what we've got to be really careful. So we get a bird dog to put out signs, put on the lockbox, take pictures, do all of that stuff. And then if the bird dog is good enough that they can write contracts and they can do deals, then we leave them in the deal and we pay them more.
Okay.
If not, then we pay them $250 to $500, whatever that number is. Depends on what they do. But if they just go out and put out a sign, you know, it's about $250. If they do a sign, take pictures, lockbox, kind of help with the deal, we may pay them $1,000. Okay?
Yeah.
So I would not have a realtor do open house and another realtor have buyers. That one realtor would do it all.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay?
Okay, thank you.
Perfect. Thanks.
Excuse me, Stan. Yeah, Fiona is ready now.
Oh, Fiona, you're so ready.
Hello, hello.
Oh my gosh, what happened to your microphone?
Oh, look, this is my new laptop, and I don't know how to drive it. It's a Toshiba. My old one I dropped was a Hewlett Packard, and this thing is way too fancy for me.
Okay, well, you got it working, right?
Yeah.
So
All right. I need my 12-year-old to show me how.
Okay, yeah, I know that's the way it works in my house too. So we're kind of running out of time. You want to tell us quickly about your deal? Don't say real fast because I won't understand it because I'm slow. But
Well,
but kind of
I'm real happy. I'm really happy because that closed the day before yesterday, and I made United States dollars 17,770.
that's U.S. money, isn't it?
That's US money.
Now, what'd you make in New Zealand money?
25,000.
There you go. And how'd you do that? How'd you find this house?
Well, this one I actually put a weekly ad in the little freebie weekly paper,
Right.
and a distressed landlord phoned me up.
What did your ad
And
say? What did your ad say?
just says I buy houses, text Fiona, and my mobile number. Oh, I buy houses fast, no fees. Text
That's it. I
Fiona.
buy houses fast and a phone number. That's it.
That's it.
Okay.
The no fees. I put I buy houses fast, no fees, my name, my number, that's it. And I think the no fees thing really appeals because, of course, real estate agents charge a big fee to sellers. So I think that's attractive straight off.
Right. Good. Okay. So now this lady called you about her house.
Yes. And it's a solid working class suburb, blue collar area, and it hasn't been too affected by the worldwide recession. It dropped about 10% in value, so a good solid neighbourhood, very family focused, church focused, community group focused. So a good solid neighbourhood with 80% owner occupiers.
Okay.
So it was a good neighbourhood, and I checked the house online, and the tax value was 255,000, and I checked the sales in the area, and properties are selling pretty hotly in the 230, 240 range. So I decided to pitch it at the low end of that, and got about 25 responses. And that was from first home buyers and landlords and investors, because anything below the median price is very attractive. I mean, we're near the capital city here, so house prices tend to be a bit expensive.
So you got 25 offers,
Yeah.
and some were better than others.
Yeah. The investors lowballed in. I showed the woman the sales figures and showed her the lower quartile figures, and I tend not to lowball unless I really have to. So I pay at the top of the bottom quartile. My first deal I paid at the top of the lower quartile, and this one, so they get the best option for a realistic price. They get more in their hand than if they went to an agent. So I really am very clear with them that they are winning, and otherwise they can go and list with an agent and lose 15,000 to 20,000, whatever. So I explain to them what a win is, and I say they have to leave a win on the table with a discounted property for the buyer, and there has to be a win for me because my fee gets paid. So I bought it for 204. And I had a whole bunch of investors put in lowball offers, bless them, at around the 200 level. And I had a couple of offers come in at 225, and then I had this one offer come in at 229. So I chased that one.
So
And,
you took that one, and I know your attorneys, you and your attorney and his attorney talked, and there were some issues with it, but you got it all worked out, right?
Yeah, I think the very first deal I did was a double close. It was clean and easy and quick, in and out, cash buyer with an architect who bought the place, and he was going to do it up with his son, who's the builder. This guy told me he was a cash buyer, and so I thought this was going to be another double close. So I checked it out the night before and said, hey, if I meet the seller in the morning at 11 and get a sale and purchase agreement from her. Can I meet you at 12? Are you ready to sign? He said, sure, yeah, I'm a cash buyer. But when he turned up at the table, he had no idea what a cash buyer was. He was a first-time buyer, and he says to me, oh, I talked to my lawyer this morning. He said don't sign anything, and by the way, I've got to go and get a loan. So our little journey began because he was just very naive and didn't really know the process. So it was a lot easier dealing with an investor, let me assure you, in the first time round. But hey, we got there. It wasn't that. I didn't get a sweat up over it. There were lots of ducks and dives. I mean, his lawyer objected to the as-is clause. His mortgage broker left the country. 8 banks that they had applied to turned him down. His partner who put the deposit in withdrew the deposit. I mean, it was just amazing. And when his lawyer broke the deal over the as-is offer, he went and put an offer on another house. I mean, just everything that seemed to be able to happen happened. And I just had to stick in there knowing that I had a good house on a good street in a good neighbourhood with a good price, and it was a good deal, and that if I couldn't get the 229, then I'd get the 225, so I wasn't too worried. And I mean, I had to go and get a line of credit because of all that mucking around that was going on. That was fine. I just approached my partner and said, how about it? So he gave me a loan with a reasonable interest rate, I might say.
So basically, you know, it always seems to be that we're going to close the house and it's going to be just peachy easy, but there's always like hoops to jump through, and some of those hoops have fire on them, right?
Yeah, and you know, I didn't get too stressed about it because I think, you know, he disappeared for 2 weeks, that buyer, and then my lawyer was chatting to his lawyer over another deal, and he said, oh, my client's compromised because of the as-is clause, and she said to him, look, my client is trustworthy and his due diligence clauses will not be overridden by that clause. That's just so he's aware that she's never lived in it and can't guarantee anything.
Right.
So the lawyer said, okay, we can proceed. So I phoned the guy, put the offer in on another house. So he rapidly withdrew that. But, you know, there was lots of curly bits on this one, and I think I threw a bit of a hissy fit for about 3 hours one afternoon. And then afterwards I just thought, oh, chill out, this is a good deal. It's going to go somehow, somewhere, and I'm still going to make 20 grand at least. So just get a grip is what I said to myself.
Well, you did great, and we're real pleased and real proud of you. Now, you're now calling yourself what? The go-to? Why do you say that?
I'm the go-to girl. I'm the go-to girl, and so I'm branding myself as the real estate go-to girl, and my website will be up and running shortly, and I've got a buyer site that I'm putting up, and I've got an investor site that I'm putting up, and a seller site. So I'm really going hard for it. I'm going for the line here, and I'm joint venturing with a property developer, and it's just very exciting, and there's just tons to do, and you know, it's really great, and I can't thank you or Tim enough for giving me what's turned out to be a whole new life for me. And
well, we've known each other for what, 5 months now, six months maybe?
Yeah,
and you
5
closed
months.
another deal down there too. Now, how'd you do on that deal?
That deal was a great deal. That was in a rough part of the city. If any of you have seen a movie called Once Were Warriors, and I would recommend that you see it, it won heaps of award at Cannes, etc. And it's the story of the ganglands of our country. And this house was for sale in the heart of ganglands, and just as well the seller didn't tell me there was a tinny house across the road and the mobsters next door, because I think it might have put me off, but I just drove through with people kind of staring at me going, what the hell she doing driving through our neighbourhood, but I smiled at everybody, and I just picked up a really solid house from an elderly woman who just wanted out of the neighbourhood and wanted to go and live with her daughter. She wasn't computer savvy, so she couldn't run it online herself, and she didn't trust her family members to do it in case they fleeced the money off her. So she wanted an outsider who'd come in and do a quick deal for her, and so she was a real nice lady, and again I offered her top of the lower quartile. She'd been in the house for 10 years. You know, she made 100,000 in equity on that house, so she was happy, and I sold it as a wholesale flip on a double close, no money in, sold within 5 days. So I got 20 grand, she got her 100 grand equity, and this guy got a house that was he bought for 165 and the tax value was 195, and houses are selling in that area for around the 200, 205. So everybody won on that one. Everybody's won on this one as well. Honestly, I've never been hugged and kissed so much in all my life by people going, thank you, thank you, thank you. So that's real cool that everybody's been really happy, and so I've shoved a blank piece of paper under their nose as soon as all the love in the room is present and asked them to write my testimonials. So I've got some nice testimonials too, and some genuinely delighted people. So I'm really happy to be a part of that as well.
So you kind of reach your, we call it that terminal velocity, where you go from zero, because it takes a lot of work to get the ball kind of rolling, you know?
Yeah, absolutely.
But now, I mean, it's starting to roll a little better for you, isn't it?
Oh, it's gathered, it's like you say, Stan, it's the big mow. And you've seen my mow. I've got my big stick-on mow that I drew.
Yeah, yeah.
And, you know, you have known me about 5 months, and a lot didn't look like it was happening for probably 3, you know, because I was just like a sponge, just soaking it all up and gathering momentum.
I mean, but I wish I knew what the heck you were saying most of the time, because some of that, like, I don't know what some of these words are.
It's the Queen's English, my friends.
I know it. I'm just sitting here shaking my head, going,
No, it took me a little while to get up to speed, but I think it is definitely like a snowball. You know, it takes a little while to get that thing rolling, but once it starts rolling, you just start gathering energy, and people talk. So people are talking about me now. I get phone calls from people saying, oh, someone said that you're a real estate trader. So, you know, it develops a life of its own.
Right, absolutely.
And I'm just trying to be...
Ron wants to know, your motivated seller, was that person in default, or how come they were selling their house on the last deal?
She was a distressed landlord.
Distressed landlord. She's sick of those rental guys, right?
Yeah. She had 9 months of tenants who broke every agreement that they'd signed off on the agreement according to her.
Right.
And she was also a builder, and had started to rehab this house real nicely, had really nice street appeal, and they got a huge pit bull dog in who dug through the back door, scraped out the inside wall into the laundry, demolished the wall in the laundry, scraped the door into the kitchen, and I think that was just the last straw, that they had breached their tenancy agreement, and then the dog had started destroying the house. Right.
Now, Ron also is asking that you did that with a flex option, but then you turned your flex option into a real contract at one point during the negotiation part of that, right?
Yeah, well, it's got to happen. On my first deal, we didn't turn the flex option into a sale and purchase agreement until quite late in the piece, because it was kind of, there was no need, you know. But on this deal, because the elderly lady was happy to leave everything with me, and I got an investor, we were all pretty clear about the rules of the game. So I didn't feel under any pressure to convert that document until money was actually going to change hands within, you know, the 5-day settlement period, which was all he needed as a cash buyer.
Right.
But with the second deal, because everything was going wobbly all around me, the seller went wobbly. You know, she started debating my fee. His sister started undermining her, saying, hey, she's bought this from you for 204, but she's advertising it for 229.
Right.
So she started going wobbly. So I thought, I'm going to have to get a sale and purchase agreement out of her and firm this thing up. And, you know, the first deal I was just a facilitator. This deal I was like a band conductor, Stan. I hate to aspire to that kind of greatness, but I just felt like I had to just keep everybody moving and everybody coming in and out at the right time. And I thought I had more control for the sale and purchase agreement. So I converted early in the piece to a sale and purchase agreement. And I knew it was a great deal, so I wasn't too concerned about my back-end buyer falling over. He was my best buyer, so I backed him, and really I waited 5 weeks. I got an extra $4,000 for it.
Right.
So I was jumping through hoops on my terms, and I could have cancelled with him and gone to another more straightforward buyer, but I thought, heck, $4,000 is as good as doing another deal.
Right, and you always had that in your back pocket. You could always go to another buyer, but give it a little time, and maybe this one's going to work out.
Yeah,
Good for you.
So the sale and purchase agreement gave me a bit more control, and just as well because another real estate trader recognised the property from my photographs that I took from the street, knows the area, drove up, knocked on the door with a sale and purchase agreement, and said to the landlord, I'm here to buy your house.
Right.
So if I hadn't converted early, she would have signed and I would have lost the deal.
Right.
So there's a lesson there about photographs.
Yeah, Ron, that's part of knowing your area. So Fiona knew what the house was. She knew it was a good deal. If it's a good deal, go ahead and wrap it up with a contract, and you can put some clauses in there that give you an inspection period, or, you know, approval. Got to have financing. There's a lot of get-out clauses, you know, that I call those get-out clauses that let you get out of the contract. But if you know your area and you know it's a good deal, go ahead and put it under contract for 30 days or 10 days or, gosh, any amount of time just to wrap it up. Fiona Donald was calling about a burned house in Houston today. It's a $150,000 house, and it's got about $50,000 in repairs or so, and he got it tied up for $15,000. Says, what do I do with it? It's like, go ahead and do a contract on it. You know that's a good deal.
Yes, that's right.
So there's no need doing the flex option and then having the people back out or having another investor go around you or any of that. Just go and tie it up. Tie it up for 30 days. We'll sell that thing.
That's right. And I think on my first deal, I was so nervous that I was relying on the flex option to give everybody, particularly me, flexibility. But by this deal, you know, because the other one had gone so smoothly, I could see how wobbly this one was getting from the seller, from the buyer, from the lawyer, you know, from another trader, and it was like just firm it up and take control of it. And that's why I didn't really get very anxious about it. I put one call into you that time saying, oh, should I give you some money back? But other than that, you brought me to my senses. But other than that, you know, trust the process. You know, you and Tim have set out a really clear process of how we proceed, and the scripts we use, and you know, we've got that deal matrix and the contract matrix, and you know, I just use those to guide me through the process. So even though it was only my second deal, I was confident and it was within my capacity to deal with it. And knowing you were there for a backup call, you know, I didn't lose any sleep over it, thankfully, even though it got really tricky from time to time. And I mean, even on the last settlement date, we shifted the settlement date at least half a dozen times, and then we finally got a mortgage approved. I had to put them onto my mortgage broker in the end, and then the land transfer office needed to cite the title. Everything's computerized here, and the government computer fell over that day, so the bank wouldn't move till they had cited the title. So I mean, there was lots of really odd things, unusual curly bits, as well as the predictable ones. But you know, like Donald Pryor says, you know, some deals are easy, some deals are hard. Either way, the money's good.
Right.
So that's my motto too now.
Good. Good. Well, it turned out really good for you, and you know, most of the students, especially the new ones, they're afraid to do it to put a contract on a piece of property because they're afraid that they won't be able to find a buyer. But you would tell them that if the deal's good, there's plenty of buyers out there.
Oh, absolutely. I think, you know, Donald Trump says there's no shortage of money in the world, and the media would like to tell us otherwise. But
Right.
in fact, there's lots of people who've done very well through various property booms, and those people are quite happy to buy in this perfect storm.
Absolutely. Now, Ron's on here. He just says, "Congratulations to Fiona. I'm proud of you. When I come to New Zealand, will you go drinking with me?" No, he
Hey,
didn't say that. He
Nick.
didn't say the last part.
I'll say yes, 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 absolutely.
Yeah, she's going, yeah. The only reason that's funny, Ron, is because last night I said, "Fiona, I'm going to come to New Zealand and get a beer." And so she's like, "Okay." So good for you.
That's right.
Well, good. Well, we're proud of you. Thank you so much for being on the call. Now you're going to be on Tim TV and be the star, huh?
Woo!
Yeah, I don't know. We got to figure out what
better
Tim
go-
TV is. Yeah.
Oh, well, look, I just wish everybody the best. Honestly, I've been the most nervous of all the students. I think I deserve that award, Stan.
Yep.
And, you know, really, once I just got in and did that first deal, and I realised that what you've said and what Tim said is that it's pretty clear. We're matchmaking, you know. We find a buyer, we find a seller, we get paid, we get out. And
It's
it's
pretty
fun.
simple,
I'm really
isn't it?
enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it.
Good. Absolutely great. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, thanks. And all the best to
All right.
everyone else. Go do
All
it.
right. Thank you, Fiona.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, bye. See you. Applause. Hey, Kevin, we're going to get to your question. So, see, guys, it's easy. It's a trick, but it's easy. Kevin Campbell, can you talk to me?
Hello,
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well.
Tell me where you're from.
California,
What part of California?
down here in sunny San Diego.
Oh, you're Kevin from San Diego. Okay, great. I've always told you I love San Diego. Okay.
Yeah,
so
you should
you're-
come out here. We can do some deals together.
I'm ready, man. I'm all good. So you have some flex options.
Yeah, I have a couple flex options. I live here in San Diego, but my VA got a couple flex options. One was in Florida and one was in Alabama. And I'm just very nervous and don't really know how to market these in states where I don't live. I liked you going over your, I mean, we can still see it right now. You're
Yeah.
hiring an agent, and that sounds like a good idea. I should do that. I do have a couple more questions on you. You said something about the lockbox and the signs,
Uh-huh.
and I wasn't quite sure about, I didn't quite get all that.
Okay, so there's a lot of moving parts on all this. So let's think about it. You're in California. You're going to show a house. Are you going to have a sign in the front yard? Okay, if you are, somebody has to put that out there for you. Or how are you going to show the house? Are you going to put a lockbox on it? Or what some people do here, and it's really difficult at times, is let's say that I've got a student, and these are all true stories. So I've got a student that's in Minneapolis, and she will Skype me or call me and say, "Listen, I need for you to go show a house in 45 minutes." It's like that just isn't going to work, So how do you then show a house? Do you put it on a lockbox? Do you have the owner show up with the key? Do you have the key under a rock? We've done that before. We put a key under a rock. Put the key under the mat. We've done that before. So how do you get the key to open the house so somebody can show it? And then who's going to show it? So you guys should be writing all these. I mean, these are the moving parts. Watch your fingers moving parts. So who's going to show it? Is that going to be a bird dog? Is it going to be a realtor? Is it going to be one of our apprentice students that I teach, or are they going to show it? If it's in Alabama, I've got a student that's in Huntsville, Alabama, that might could show those for you. And she's a realtor. Or she may know somebody who knows somebody that can show those, What part of Florida is this in?
Oh, I can't remember at the moment. They are both occupied. I mean, the owner is still living in them. So how do I,
Well,
putting a
see,
lockbox on it
yeah,
doesn't
so
sound like an option.
that's the trick. So let's say for fun that you're running ads on Craigslist and you're putting ads out in the local newspaper or whatever you're doing to market it. And then you have somebody that calls you and says, I want to see it. Now, you're in California. How do you get somebody into that house? Okay, do you have them just go ahead and you call the owner and say, somebody's going to show up at 6:30, can you let them in? And then if
That
you
doesn't
do,
sound.
you want to make sure they don't go around you to do that. We've done a couple of those, and we've had one of those that worked pretty well. And we did all the contracts online and did everything on the internet. And basically, the person that was doing that never saw the house, never met anybody, nobody ever worked on it. So we've done those, but they're pretty difficult to work. I think you need to have somebody on the ground.
Okay, so either a realtor or a bird dog or an apprentice student.
Right. And so think about where you are, and then the way to find those realtors or bird dogs is to run a Craigslist ad. And so you would run that ad that says, a real estate investor seeks apprentice. But you're running an ad for somebody you don't know. The best way to do this is to get somebody you know or somebody that knows somebody, that would work with you. So at least you know somebody instead of just a stranger.
Okay. But I don't happen to know anybody out there at all. So
So what part of Alabama is this?
let me see. It's I have one in Kentucky. It's Law Center, Kentucky.
Okay.
I don't know why, but these people were advertising in the San Diego Craigslist, and so
I know why. They went, there's an investor in San Diego that will buy my house. And you're it.
okay.
So now we've got
Opportunity
to sell it.
strikes, right?
That's right. It's because some divine intervention or something. So why don't you do this for me? Do you remember my email address?
Yeah, I remember it.
So for everybody that doesn't, it's stanmalden@dodeals.com. Email me those particular places, and I'll see if any of the students know anybody or if we have any bird dogs in those areas.
Okay. And
Or
the alternative
those.
is to run a Craigslist ad, find somebody, or find a realtor, and work out some relationship with the realtor so that they'll show the house
Right.
and collect a fee. The other thing that I was thinking is that isn't the price that we're giving the realtor 15% of the down payment? That's 5,000 or more, so that's 15% of 5,000. That's not a whole lot.
Well, what we were doing here is we have a pretty big lead generating machine with all these virtual assistants. And so we were sending leads to the realtors, and we were paying them 15% to work those leads. Okay, so you would not be doing that. You would be paying them 25 or 30 or 50. You can make up whatever number you want to. If we do a lot of joint ventures, and I have a lot of bird dogs down here that will bring work to me because either they have another job and they don't want to work them, especially short sales, or B, they don't know how to work them and they just bring them to me and we split. Does that make sense?
Okay.
So if you had a realtor in these areas and you just split the profit 50-50, so you found the leads and you found the properties and they showed it and sold it, that would work pretty well.
I see.
And the reason we use realtors is the learning curve is real small.
Yeah,
If
you don't
you've
have
got
to teach them.
Absolutely. So if you've got a bird dog, and his other job is he's a welder, and his wife's got 10 kids, and it's like you got to teach all these people how to do it, and you don't want to mess with that. The realtors already know how to do contracts. They know how to open a door. You'll be surprised when you start having bird dogs how really basic some of that is. And my son went out to put out signs the other day, and he had them facing the wrong way. It's like you face them toward the traffic. Oh, I thought you were. It's like no, face them so that the cars can see it. So see, you have to teach everybody how to do that. Those little things. So realtors have most of that going already.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, I like that idea of working with realtors. I just didn't think it was realistic to try and pay them 15%. I didn't think they would work for that.
Yeah, well, here they're going to work for 25%, and if I give you the leads, then you can make 40%. So if I gave you a lead, and you made one phone call and said, hey, we've got a house, you know, whatever we work out with these guys, and then they sold it themselves, then that's how we do it.
Okay.
So we pay them up to 40%. But in your situation, I mean, right now you're at zero. So if you could get half of it and turn half of it into cash, then that's good news for you.
Yeah, it is.
And
All right.
the way I would do that is just send an email saying that you're looking for realtors to joint venture with you on some projects, and make it a real simple ad in Craigslist. And we ended up, gosh, I don't remember. Amy said we sent out about 50 to 100 emails, and then we got 10 or 15, 20 back. And then we asked them to send out another email to us, and then that turned into fewer. You know, we kind of narrowed our group by making them do just some very minor things like send another email back to me. Because I didn't want to work with people that didn't want to go, like, if you couldn't send an email, then that's okay. You're probably not going to work with us.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
You're pre-screening the realtor is what you're doing.
Right. And that's in Houston, and it's a market where we've got bird dogs all over the place. So if I didn't have a realtor in a certain area, it wasn't the end of the world. You know, you may at the very beginning, Kevin, need to just take what you can get and then work from there. And you'll go through a lot of people. I mean, you may go through 10 to find one good one. That's okay. And just know that it's a numbers game. That also is a numbers game. Just keep working and finding some people. It'll be fine.
Okay. Well, thanks for warning me. I may have to go through 10 realtors to find a good one.
Well, yeah, we did the San Antonio bird dogs, and we went through 38 to find one. You know, and we just kept saying, you know, if you want to do this, this, and this, respond to the email. And they're like, okay, and then that 38 turned into about 15, and then we said, okay, now if you want to do this, 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 and this, then send back another email. And that 15 turned into 8, and then then it finally turned down to 3 or 4, and then we gave 3 or 4 things to do, and only one of them did it, so that was pretty easy. And I've got agents that we have on properties that went out and put out a lockbox, and went home and started watching Andy Griffith. You know, so they're just pretty lazy. So you'll find those people. You'll just find those people. It's the way it is. You just know you just got to work through it. It's not a problem. It's just going to take a little effort to find them. Don't give up on it. There's a good one out there somewhere. And they'll help you.
All right.
Okay.
Wonderful.
Cool. So email me those areas, and I'll send you those back. Okay.
I will do. Thank you, Stan.
All right. You're welcome. Thanks a lot. Okay. Let's try to get to the end of this before we get too far along. And I forgot where we were. Oh, I know where we are. So we're looking for you guys find that way to find your sweet spot. All right. Now you write these words down. I don't know if you can see these very well. Get up close to your screen. I didn't make them very big. Here are the words that I use. Based on the information you've given me, I'm not sure your property meets our cash buying criteria. Okay, now here are the magic words. I really want you to get what you're asking for your house. It's just right now, with all the issues we have in our country, just right now we can't do it. It's a pretty tough time to do that. Okay, so, and then all this next little paragraph here is just telling you about all the different foreclosures and how many short sales there are in the country and people that can't qualify for a loan. And so you paint a pretty bleak picture of reality. I mean, there's 90,000 foreclosures in this country every month. That's a little over 1 million. There's about 250,000 posted foreclosures every month. So that's about 3 million people with bad credit. And don't use the word bad credit. There's a nick in their credit or a little rub in their credit. You want to say all the negative things you can say in the most positive way. So don't call it. We have people with bad credit. So if you tell somebody like that, you'll never sell a house to them. Okay. So what we do is we talk about all the issues. There's just a lot of foreclosures, and with the foreclosures and short sales there's about 2 million houses that are sold for less than market value. And what that has been doing is that's affected the value of everybody's house. So there's a lot of good people out there that have a little nick in their credit, and we talk about the perfect storm, but this is the good line. There are a lot of people looking for a house that have a little nick in their credit. These are good people with good jobs. They just can't qualify for a loan right now. That's just the way that the banking system is, and you know how it is. And you ask that question, you know how it is, and the guy on the other end of the line will go, I know how it is. So we're selling a lot of houses using owner finance. Again, we closed one this week, and we got contracts on 3 or 4 more this week. So we're going to start as a group. Our apprentice group will start closing 3 and 4 of those a week. So we're selling a lot of houses using owner finance. And can I tell you about the owner finance program? And by then they'll tell you yes or no. If they say no, then just go on and put them in your particular system and call them back later. And if they say yes, then you tell them these are the magic words. And you guys say these words because you're with our group. I work with a nationwide group of real estate investors. We buy houses and we sell and rent houses. Okay, you guys work with a nationwide group of real estate investors. Actually, you work with an international group of real estate investors. We have students in Canada and New Zealand. We have one that's in Belgium. So you guys work with an international group of real estate investors. We buy and sell a lot of houses. We do a pretty good volume, and we'd like to include your house in our program. We do a lot of marketing, and I think we can do some good things for you. Okay, so you see how I got that transition part of that, and we spent some time in our group the other day talking about transitions. What we'll do is we'll put somebody in your house for 18, 24 months, maybe 3 years, 36 months, and while they're in your house, they're going to be purchasing your home, and they will be repairing their credit so that after a period of time, and that's something that you as a seller and the buyer will work that out together. We'll then get their credit repaired, and they'll close that house out on a permanent loan. So is that something that you would be interested in? And see, I always ask for the sale at the end of that. Is that something you'd be interested in? And if they say no, then you say, well, here's the real deal. Why do you think your house hasn't sold yet? And more times than not, here lately, the people have been telling me it's because of the economy. Okay, if it's because of the economy, then we've got a choice. And I tell them this a lot. Then your choice is you can hang on to your house until the economy gets better, and that may take. I mean, gosh, we're about to really enter Afghanistan pretty strong. That may take 2 or 3, maybe 4 years for the economy to bounce back. To bounce back at the point where you can get your house sold. Or we can do some owner financing. You can make a little money on it up front. You can maybe make a little bit money on it every month, and you can go on about your life and move on to your next job or your next city or whatever you want to do. So see how easy that is, how that works really well. So the things out of this that I would want you to remember is, A, we want you to get your price for the house. We want you to get that price. And B, there's a lot of issues with our country that are not allowing you to get that price right now. So if we can do some owner financing, that's a win-win. That's a win for you. You're going to get your full value for your house. That's a win for the buyer. They've got a little nick in their credit, and they need a place to go. Okay, they've got a good job. They're good people. They just need a place. Okay? All right, so if you guys have some questions about that, type that in. But those work really well. This little paragraph works really well. And if you want this little paragraph, I've got it on a seller's questionnaire. Just email it to me, and I'll attach it and email back to you, okay? Okay. So that works really well. Let's look at some papers and show you how we put these together. Let's see if you can see what I'm seeing. There we go. Okay, this is a house we just finished, and this is one of those houses that was from the list that we did. This was a for rent by owner, or for rent house. And basically this is a real estate investor. He's about to retire, and this young man is he's a little older than me. I'm 55, he's a little older than me, but he's ready to go live out his years somewhere else than this and doesn't want to mess with renters anymore. So he's a tired landlord. He doesn't want to fool with this. We'd originally, let's just go down the contract. That's the buyer and the seller. This is the legal address of the house, which is no big deal for you guys. Let's get to the numbers. We already saw this. Okay, the numbers are, we started out at 102. Okay, they were going to put $6,000 down, and then they were going to finance $96,000. Okay, the real numbers came back. I got their application and looked at it and went, well, they've only got $6,000 in savings. If I take all of their $6,000, they won't have any money to move on, and they won't have any money to pay what little closing costs they're going to have. They won't have any money left over. So you've got a couple that's in their late 20s, mid 30s. They've got a 4-year-old little girl that's just as sweet as they can be, and you've got a brand new spanking new baby that's about 4 or 5 months old. So now you've got to look inside your heart and go, am I going to take every last nickel that they've got and put them in this house? I chose not to do that, okay? And this is a joint venture deal with one of our other students, and other student one were real happy about it, but I just couldn't take every dime they had. So we did a couple of things. We backed into the numbers. We did an amortization and backed into the numbers that they needed 3 years from now, and figured out that we could lower the price of their house about $3,000. And when I did that, I lowered it to $99,500. You would have thought that I was giving them candy. Okay, they were just so excited that they didn't have to pay full price for their house, even though they've got a nick in their credit, you know. And then we took the $6,000 and lowered that to $5,000, which means we're going to finance $94,500. Okay, we amortize that over 30 years, makes their payments about $700 and some change, $780 something. You add taxes and insurance in it, you're right at $1,000 a month. Okay, their apartment was $1,000. Now they're moving into a 3-bedroom, 2-bath house for the exact same money as their apartment. So they are extremely excited. And we're about to close this thing in the next few days. We'll close this in the next less than 10 days. Okay, they gave me $1,000 earnest money, and I sent it off to our little title company up there in Keller, Texas, that is doing these for us. So we're having a real title company look at it. They're doing a title policy and everything, okay? All right, if you've got questions about that, hop in. And if not, then we're going to go on. It's just a pretty easy thing, all right? Let's see how I got to it. Now from there, you've got a seller financing addendum, and what we did is we backed into these numbers. Their payments are $706, then their taxes and insurance put them right at $1,000. What we did is I went and did an amortization schedule and found out that at 90, whatever that number was, 94 and some change, I have to cover this guy's payment. His payments are right at $1,000 as well. So we charge them 8.2% interest. A little high, but you know they've got a nick in their credit, so they're okay with that. The bottom line is they've got to make the seller's payments. Okay, so that's basically where we went with this, is to make sure we had enough money to make the seller's payments. So their payments are $706.63 plus taxes and insurance puts them right at $1,000. They're going to start on November 1st, 2009, and continue for 36 months. The seller wanted to put into the contract initial payment, let me see, make this bigger, initial payment to be $1,000 per month, principal, interest, taxes, and insurance, and adjusted adjusted annually for the taxes, okay? So that's what we agreed on. Everybody agreed on that, so that's what we're going to do. Okay, so that's that particular house, and we're about to close that. I got the HUD on it today, and I'll show that to you in a while. I'll show you the HUD we just finished. Let this one come up. This one just closed, and show you how we did this. This is the one we've talked about before, I believe. This lady owed 123 on her house. There's what she owed. That's what we had to get out of it. And we wanted 5 and she wanted 5, so we asked 133 for the house. The market value of the house is about 156, 158, so there's plenty of room in there for everybody. And you can see on the back page on this side, and this one funded today, by the way, thank goodness. You can see where I'm getting paid $5,000, and I'm splitting that with the student that brought this deal, okay? And the other real estate agent got paid $1,500 outside of closing through his buyer. Okay? So that's how those turned out. So questions about any of those? I don't see any. And those are basically, in a nutshell, what the owner financing deals are all about. One of the questions, let me go back a ways, was how quickly can you do these, I think was one of those questions. Let's look at the dates on this contract. Let me go backwards. The date on this contract is, well, we did this contract Monday is when we did it. Let's see, we did it Friday, I'm sorry, we did it last Friday, and it's going to close this Friday. So it took us 7 days to get paid $5,000. Okay, and that's a hurry-up thing for the title company. They did the title search today, and we'll close it on Friday, so we'll get paid in 7 days. Okay, so basically what we're telling our students in the apprentice group is if you have to get paid right now, then go do owner financing. Okay, if you want to wait just a little bit and make a little bigger chunks of money, then that's wholesaling REOs, short sales. Okay, some of these wholesale deals can move quickly. We sold a condo over the weekend, and guys, we've been really fortunate with these condos and doing really well with these little $10,000, $15,000 condos. I went and showed a condo last Friday, and there's 2 guys up in the balcony. They were passing something around that they're cupping it around their fingers. My college days tells me that was a illegal smoke of some sort. And then the girls with the really short dresses, real tight, and the low-cut things were walking around. And I was going, boy, howdy. And I met this lady out there, and this blonde-haired, blue-eyed, extremely fair-skinned lady, and I were in a different world. And anyhow, she's just excited as she can be to get this condo, and she's going to rent it. And we got the condo for we bought it for 10. And we sold it to her for $12,500. Then we went back to the seller and we got another $1,000 off. So basically, we got the condo for $9,000 and we sold it for $12,500. So we're going to make $3,500 on it. We've had the condo for about 4 days. I sold it Friday, and it'll close not this Friday, but next Monday. So it's going to close within 10 days. So not a lot of money. But looking at the percentages of it, what is that, 35% profit? So that's pretty good profit. So those are the kind of deals that we're really working on a lot. As Fiona says, we call it the big mo here. Amy is our personal assistant. We love the way she says the big mo, and it's momentum. Once you get that momentum going, I'll just tell you that the short sales start coming, the REOs start falling into place after you get some momentum going, okay? So anyhow, that's what we've been doing. That's kind of the owner financing in the nutshell. So if you want to talk about something next week, why don't you guys type it in your question box. Type it in now. I've got some specific issues I'd like to talk about. Let's see, RC says, today's session is a very important one. I have lots of questions. Can the replay be posted by tomorrow? Gershon will figure that out, and I want to review, and I'll email and call to clarify. This could get me a deal or two this month. Absolutely. You know, if you're looking to get paid right now, man, then these are the ones you want to be doing. Okay? I mean, if you can get paid in 7 days, that's the way to go, I think. You know, so these are not real hard, but you've got to be right in the middle of the market. You know, if this house is this little $99,000 house, if those payments were $1,500, then it wasn't going to work. So you got to be real careful which ones you choose. We take them all. Just some are harder to sell than others. Okay. So somebody type in what you want to do for next week. So I've got. You're leaving it up to me now. So this is the last call for, I want to talk about what next week? Going once, going twice. So you guys email me, let me know what you want to talk about, and I'll be glad to work on that. Start with a follow-up today's session, legal paperwork. Jim, you want to do the legal paperwork? That sucks, man. That's hard. Let me get Jim to talk to him. Jim, are you on there? Can you talk? Okay, Jim, I can't talk. Yeah, we can do all the paperwork. Boy, that's... I was talking to somebody today. Fiona and I are kind of the same way, too. And we're kind of like, we want to go do the deal, and we'll clean up the mess later. You know, we're those kind of people. Rich wants to do the short sale paperwork. Man, I love short sales, so I can be glad doing that. Selling bulk real estate on the web. Earl, that's kind of a tricky one. We can do that as well. So let's do this. We'll kind of do it a couple ways. The paperwork, you know, guys, don't get so hung up on the paperwork, because that's the easiest part of it. And I know that's the thing that everybody gets kind of stuck on. CJ wants to know if we can have a copy of the PowerPoint. Yeah, I'll be glad to give you a copy of these PowerPoint. Just email me and I'll put them in a zip file and let you have my little kitty face. Let me get my kitty face back on here. There we go, just so you can find your sweet spot. But guys, don't get so stuck on the paperwork. It's not real hard, and if you mess it up, the title company doesn't get paid till they close it, and so they won't let me mess it up very much. Okay, and the real estate agent doesn't get paid till we close. So, you know, I love working with Amanda at Lawyers Title because she takes care of all my screw ups. You know, and the way I found her is I filed a deed and we couldn't get it closed any place else, and she took care of me. So, you know, I mean, I won't let you mess up the paperwork. Send it to me, I'll go over it. And Gershom won't let you mess it up. He knows what he's doing, so it's pretty easy. But if you want to go over the short sale paperwork, we can talk about how to do those and how to get people to send those to you. I mean, I did 38 short sales last month, and I put 4 in today. So, gosh, we've already done 7 or 8 this month, so in the last 5 days. So, yeah, short sales are easy to do, and I'll show you how to do the paperwork part of that. The legal paperwork part of to that, let's just choose one, and I'll be glad to just choose one. So, we'll do the paperwork on some part of this so you guys understand where to put your names and addresses and all that kind of stuff, okay? So if you're okay with that, somebody type in okay, and then we'll go from there. Anybody say okay? There we go. Somebody say okay. Yeah, Earl says okay. There we go. So we'll do some kind of paperwork. I just don't want you to get hung up on the paperwork part of it. That's the easiest part. Okay? All right, good. Well, thank you so much for coming. I appreciate you spending some of your time with me. I know that you have other things that you could be doing. I appreciate you spending some time. I hope it's all worthwhile. And if there's something that you'd like for me to be doing, just email me. And let me shoot my email address up here so you guys can grab it again. Let's see. There we go. So there's the old email address. Paul's saying that he needs to do all this virtually, and let's do that next week. I'll talk to you how to do the short sale paperwork and how to do these virtually, okay? And Audrey's online. Audrey, are you going to be here next week? Type in yes or no, because you can show these people how to do. Audrey works with me a lot, and she is incredible. So let's get your microphone going. Okay, Audrey, and you can tell everybody how to do this. It's pretty simple, right? To do these short sales. Audrey is in Dallas, and she's doing short sales with me all over the place. Dallas, San Antonio, Austin, and then I've got some people. Gosh, I got one in Delaware the other day. So now I've got short sales from Delaware to South Carolina to Washington and California and everywhere in between. And so I'll tell you how we set up that system. And Audrey can get online and tell you how she's doing all of that work, and I'll prepare some more slides for you and make them a little more interesting and try to have little better pictures than my Perfect Storm guys. So it'll be fun next week, and we'll have a good time, and I like you guys talking, so if we can cut you guys in, it'll be great. Okay, so we'll run from there, and we'll run it next week, all right? So thanks so much, and thank you again for being with us. Gershom, we'll talk to you later, okay?
Okay. Thanks, Dan.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thank you so much. We'll see you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.